Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is the meeting of the Subcommittee of the Non-Energy Utilities of the Environment and Transportation Committee. Um, and it is Thursday, March 5th. Welcome, everybody. We're going to take up two bills today. One which we may be able to vote out of the committee, and another one that we're going to begin preliminary discussion on. And with that, we're going to first look at HB 480, which is the bill that we discussed last week in our meeting. And this is the bill that has to do with transportation network companies' deactivation of operators and has some guardrails around that. I'm going to turn it over to Steve Ross, our counsel, to just review the bill. This should be familiar to you, except for one piece, which is we added an amendment to accommodate the concerns of the National Federation for the Blind. So I'm going to ask Steve to just review briefly what the original amendments that we went over last week do, but then in more specificity, Delegate Holmes, we are going to I'm going to ask him to to go over the amendment for the National Federation for the Blind. So, Steve, go ahead, take it away.
Okay, you want me to share screen like I usually
Yeah,
do?
please. I think that's helpful.
Okay. I'm requesting to share.
Yeah, please make sure Steve can share. Got it? No?
Still don't have permission.
Dan, can you give him permission to share, please?
There we go.
Okay.
Let me pick the correct screen. Okay, we're good. I'm just going to show up in a sec.
There you go.
Okay. So this is House Bill 480, Transportation Network Companies Deactivation of Operators.
Make it a little bit larger. There got people here older than 25.
Let me see if I can make the font a little bit larger for everybody.
There you go.
For yourself, Marvin.
My computer's having a little bit of struggling with the
You can make it full screen. You have it full screen anyway.
Make it a little bit
you
bigger.
got
there
it.
we go. So
yeah,
that's
that's
a little bit for everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is as amended, it still requires a transportation network company to maintain and apply a written deactivation policy as specified that provides for policies and procedures for the deactivation of transportation network operators, including an internal appeals process. The bill takes effect January 1, 2027. So in general, the amendments compared to the bills that came in alters requirements related to the deactivation policy and the appeals process and takes PSC out of that process, which eliminates the fiscal note to remind you all. The amendments also maintain existing definitions of transportation network company and transportation network operator. The company and the drivers leaves those alone. The bill as introduced changed those. They're struck from the bill as amended and delayed the effective date out to January 1, 2027. So that's a 90-day delay from where it came in. The amendment, the difference between this bill posture right now and what we talked about last week, I'm going to scroll to that right now. It's right here in the deactivation policy. And this was to highlight some of the concerns addressed at the hearing and then at subcommittee last week from the National Federation for the Blind. And actually, you heard it today from Waymo, or at the Waymo hearing today as well. Some of the discrimination concerns related to transportation network companies and the drivers. So in this case, this is what is new. Defining serious misconduct was in there previously, but the language now specifically calls out that serious misconduct includes refusal to provide transportation network services for any reason related to a potential passenger's disability, including the use of a mobility aid or travel with a service animal. And the rest of that is basically any other conduct that would constitute an act of apparent discrimination under federal or state law. So covers the broad piece, but then also narrow language about some of the specific concerns that we heard. So that's the extent of the changes compared to last week. It's just this highlighted piece right here.
Okay. Any questions about that? Delegate Holmes?
Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Service animal could be a wide range of things, right? Alligator, elephant, zebra. Is that right or not?
There is a range of what counts as a service animal.
Okay.
I mean, it
don't
doesn't
know if it
necessarily
includes
mean,
zebra.
yeah, I don't think it includes a zebra. It
I-
doesn't, it
I'm
doesn't,
just trying,
yeah,
I'm just trying to protect those folks who have to, take them. If someone come up with some kind of weird animal, I just don't want them to get hurt legally. You know what I mean? That's all. I'm fine with the bill.
let me ask it a different way, Steve. Is the term service animal defined in law? Because there must be other laws that reference service animals. I think it is. I think it
There
is.
are. I don't think it's defined in the public utilities article, and I don't know if the definition elsewhere. Usually definitions are by article.
Okay.
So I don't believe it's defined in this article, and it's probably defined federally too. I don't know off the top of my head though. Sorry.
That's fine. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Delegate Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I just wanted to chime in. I don't remember for what reason I learned this. I had a bill maybe a year or two ago. Service animal is pretty strictly defined, I think, in Maryland code. I think it only applies to dogs and in some cases like a miniature horse. But it's the duties of a service animal are pretty strictly defined, if I remember correctly. I just don't know where. I just know in which article it is, Steve.
Okay. And in general, the Mr. Chair, do you have a question?
Right, it's in the Human Services article, if I may,
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. And Steve, is it your opinion that we need to reference the Human Services article, or can we just go with service animal because it's already defined in the Human Service article?
If in the articles tend to not talk to each other unless you specify that they do. So if you want to be specific, we can be specific and reference it over. When this is compiled, I certainly can do that.
Okay. Mr. Chair, is your recommendation that we do that?
It's up to you, Madam Chair, but certainly you can just vote that in concept if you want and move
Yeah,
on.
that's what I was going to do. But is it your recommendation that we voted in concept?
It's delegate, I mean, Delegate Holmes is your member. If he has a concern and you want to address it, that's a way to address it.
Why don't we do that? And I'm sorry, Delegate Holmes, go ahead.
I don't suggest it. I just want you to have that answer ready for the floor.
Okay. Okay. Well, it seems to be, it sounds to me like it might be optional to reference the Human Services article. And as I say, I have seen this reference to service animals in other bills. So I think we can just leave it as it is. If Delegate Holmes is comfortable,
Yes, I am.
since you're the one who raised it. Are there any other questions or comments, concerns about this amendment? All right, seeing none, I
The
will,
amendments, Madam Chair.
excuse me?
Move the amendment.
Second.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And seconded, moved by Delegate Holmes, seconded by Chair Corman. Any further discussion on this amendment, the National Federation for the Blind Amendment? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. You have to be on camera to vote, Delegate Allen, Delegate Naraki.
My internet keeps freezing. I turn.
That's all right. Delegate Allen, I see. Are you in favor,
camera
Delegate Allen? I see you're frozen. Delegate Allen, are you in favor?
Otherwise, I could not hear any.
Okay, he's having difficulty. I don't think it matters.
I'm good, Madam Chair.
Yeah, because, okay, thank you. Any opposed? I see none opposed. All right, thank you very much. Now,
Move the bill as amended, Madam Chair.
Second.
no, hold on one
Aye.
second. Let's vote on the other amendment.
Yes.
Let's vote on the other amendment that we,
Oh, I'm sorry.
the main amendment that we had. that we reviewed last year that Steve just went over, really quickly. This is the amendment that is the consensus amendment between the sponsor and the advocates. So I will take a motion to move that amendment.
Move the amendment, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Delegate Baker and also Delegate Holmes. Any further discussion on that amendment? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of that amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. Delegate Naraki, I can't see you. All right. All right. Any opposed? Thank you very much. All right, now, Delegate Holmes, I will take a motion. You're not opposed, are you, Delegate Allen? You're just behind us. All right, I will now take a motion, Delegate Holmes, if you're.
Move the bill,
Move
move the bill as
as
amended, Madam Chair.
Is there a second on the bill as amended?
Second.
Seconded by the Vice Chair. Any further discussion on this bill? Hearing none. All those in favor of the bill as amended signify by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Delegate Holmes, you said aye.
Aye.
Delegate Allen, Delegate Naraki. All right, great. Delegate, the chair, the vice chair, everybody likes this bill. All right. Any opposition? Hearing none, the bill is passed favorable to the full committee. Thank you very much. Now I would like to turn, for discussion purposes only, because we're not ready to vote on this, on HB 829, excuse me, which is basically, well, not basically, it is. It's about human trafficking awareness and training for transportation network operators. In other words, Uber drivers, for lack of a better term. And you should have received some information on that. There is a Senate co-sponsor on this bill, and we did ask for the Senate amendments. We're still trying to work through to see, we're trying to figure out what the difference between the Senate amendments are and the amendments we received from the sponsor. But Steve, if you could just briefly go over this for us today so we know what are covered by the amendments and what is in the bill.
I can cover the bill as introduced, and I
Okay.
have Senate amendments. to
Okay,
talk
that's
about.
good. That's fine. Do that. Yeah.
Okay, I don't have House.
All right. We'll have to figure out.
amendments.
I thought we got them, but I'll have to track those down. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Do you want to do the bill as introduced or bill with amendments?
Bill,
I'll start with the bills. I'll
as
start with the
introduced,
introduced.
yeah.
It's not that different.
okay.
Okay.
Maybe you can do bill as amended. That would probably, with the Senate amendments, that probably makes more sense.
Okay. Let me zoom in before I start sharing screen because it goes way faster. Once I share, the computer gets really tired. Okay. All right, I'm going to share, and I'm doing this a bit live because we got the amendments fairly late and haven't had a chance to fully digest the changes, so bear with me. Share.
Steve, you probably should pour coffee into the keyboard to help it out a little bit.
Okay. I'm pulling up the, this is the Senate reprint. Zoom in a little bit. I'm going to give the fiscal note overview with sort of a live draft change. But in general, I think even as amended, generally the bill requires an applicant for a local taxi cab driver's license or a state for hire driver's license, and TNC and TNOs, or the transportation network operators. It's a little bit different when it applies, but it still will apply to those drivers as well. To have documentation verifying that that individual completed a human trafficking awareness training program and human trafficking prevention program. As amended, it still basically does those things. And then there's also a Good Samaritan provision. So A person, or sorry, an individual may not be held civilly or criminally liable for reporting or responding in good faith to a suspected incident of human trafficking. That universe of people that is applying to, step back for a second. It's types of drivers, types of for-hire drivers in the state have to take this training, the human trafficking prevention training, effectively, is what's going on. The net that it's casting is local taxi cab drivers, because that is a thing. Locals, licensed taxi cabs. If you're let's say you drive a sedan, right? Before Uber came around, you used to get like a black town car. You would need a for-hire driver's license to do that. So if you operate a vehicle for hire in the state, the vehicle gets a permit and the person gets a license. So that covers those people. And before Uber and Lyft came about, that was basically everybody. And now there's Uber and Lyft, and there's a third type of license, and it's called a transportation network operator license. So the universe that this bill is trying to cover is the people in the state that provide the same types of general services, right? That they transport people for hire through a couple different types of licenses. That's the universe of people that it's applying to. It's a little bit messy in the code, but that's who it's applying to. We'll get down to this in a second, but this is basically the beginning of the bill is putting all of this stuff into the old code as it relates to local taxi cabs, and it goes further down and it gets into for hire driver's licenses of various types, and that's at the Public Service Commission. And then we'll scroll, which is why it's in, I think, this subcommittee, not the Transportation Subcommittee, because a lot of these are licensed by the Public Service Commission. And then we have the main piece of it here, and this repeats itself in another area, but this is the main piece. The individual has to complete U.S. Department of Transportation's Leaders Against Human Trafficking / Combating Human Trafficking and the Transportation Awareness Training, or any nationalized, recognized awareness training. And then that training must include how to recognize potential victims, how to respond to an individual who may be or is a victim, and then the amendment is how to report suspected incidents of human trafficking. And then down here, this is the sort of the Good Samaritan clause. These individuals may not be held civilly or criminally liable for reporting or responding in good faith to this. That's the basics of what the bill is trying. That's the basics of what the bill does. On amendment, at the bottom of the bill, it treats transportation network operators, the drivers, a little bit differently, and that's transportation network companies they're charged under state law with a larger administrative oversight of their drivers. They do a little more of the administrative aspect of it than the other two, and it's just a scale thing. There's probably couple thousand taxi cab drivers, and there's 175,000 TNC drivers. So there's a scale thing too. So on amendment, they change how it works a little bit. I'm scrolling through. A little bit how it works for these transportation network company operators. The same basic training applies, but the where it occurs is a little bit different. Under the other two types of drivers, it's the applicant. So the applicant to the local government or the applicant to PSC. And as amended, this piece for transportation network operators is you could have your license to drive, but you can't provide the services. The company can't let you log onto the app and provide services, drive, basically. And that is, as amended, that's how the enforcement is kind of occurring.
Until you get the training, until you get
the training. So that's just sort of the difference. But in general, at some point, you can't drive without doing this training. That's the basics of how the bill works as amended. Again, I have just looked at this fairly recently, but that's the basics. Let me get down to...
And the training is provided by the companies. Is that correct, Steve?
This training is available online for free. The U.S. Department of Transportation one is available online and for free.
Okay,
And there is, as introduced, there was essentially no fiscal note. I actually remember going back and forth with the guy about whether or not 10,000 was existing resources or not. But there's a very, very small potential fiscal note, and that may be eliminated by the amendment. I don't know.
okay,
So I certainly do not see this going higher, but we would need to specifically check with PSC. Nothing sticks out to me as causing an additional fiscal effect.
okay, great. And the
so I'm
fiscal
gonna-
effect is very minimal, is what you said.
As introduced, it's $10,000, basically a very minor programming expense to ensure compliance.
Okay,
That could be taken out because of this amendment, as I'm looking
Okay.
at it here, but we would want to check, but I don't anticipate this increasing the fiscal note. I'm
okay,
going to stop sharing so we can talk. Is that
okay. Sounds good. All right, so that is the bill. We need to look at the sponsor amendments on the House side to see. My guess is they probably pretty well conform to this. We didn't lay them down side by side because we just got these Senate amendments not too long ago. Has the Senate acted on the bill, Steve? Do you know?
They had not acted as of earlier today. My
Okay.
understanding is I believe they are planning to act fairly soon.
Okay, that's my understanding also. Okay, so are there any questions on this bill? In a nutshell, requiring drivers for hire, taxi drivers, and transportation network drivers to take sex trafficking training so they can spot it, and then giving them some immunity if they report it so that they're not implicated in it. We can call this the Transportation Network Epstein bill. Are there any questions on this bill? Delegate Holmes.
Madam Chair, I don't have a question. I think this is a very good piece of legislation. I think this is something that's really necessary, and it solves a whole lot of potential problems, Madam Chair. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. I think I agree with that. Anybody else have a comment or a question on this? I mean, we're going to take it up again next week. We'll get it in shape so that we can vote it out if we so desire. Any other questions or comments about this bill? Okay, seeing none, like I said, we hadn't planned to act on this week. We will probably try to vote on it next week, assuming we have all the pieces together, and we'll talk about it again. Let me just comment on a couple of bills that we did discuss here that we haven't moved. One of them is Mason's Law, which is the law, it's HB 34, and it's the law regarding storm grates. We are in the process, we're consulting with the Senate and the Senate sponsor on that bill, as well as MML and the municipal storm sewer organization, whatever they're called, to see if we can bring that bill down to sort of reality so that we can actually pass something meaningful that can actually be implemented. We had a broad range of discussion about what to do there, but I think we need to narrow the focus of that bill. And we have some ideas about how to do that, and we want to see what they're doing in the Senate with respect to that. So we hope to bring that back to you shortly. And then the other bill is HB 650, which was the bill about municipal lighting that we had quite a bit of discussion on. We're still trying to ascertain what the effects of the pending hearing on that will have on that bill. And you'll recall that it was reported by PEPCO that they had a hearing with 7 municipalities on the bill that was very close to being resolved. So we need to be mindful of that, whatever action we take or do not take on that bill. So that's where those stand. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has about those two. Otherwise, we had some other bills that were presented this past week. A couple of them were mine that we probably will take up here as well. I think that's all I have for today. Does anybody have anything else? Any questions about those bills or anything else related to the subcommittee? All right, seeing no hands, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Madam
moved by
Chair.
Delegate Baker and Delegate Holmes and everybody else. Thank you very much for your attention, and we'll be back at you. Thank you. Keep our colleagues in your thoughts.